Welcome to part 6 of this course on irony as your superpower. We're still dealing with this big old challenge, some would say the biggest in the universe. Where do you get off? Maybe I get off on claiming it's the biggest challenge in the universe, but like I said last time, it's not just me. What I'm calling the last word paradox, words make us crave last words that further words make impossible, is a variation on one of the most profound insights ever in math, Gödel's incompleteness theorem. You can find lots about it on YouTube, but for an intuitive feel for it, here again is that conversation with God in which I illustrate it. You'll get it right away. Quick refresher, here's the bind. We'd all like to exercise our will without negative consequences. We'd like the freedom to do our thing and the safety to do it without risk. If we really got our way, we'd have a wild card that frees us to do whatever and a trump card that says whatever we do is the best, unassailable, indomitable. That's our appetite for last word justifications, why we should get to do what we want without danger. Trouble is we don't get last words because other words can counter our last words. The question here is what to do about that fundamental challenge. In part 5, I described what I called skeptical or cynical hypocrisy as one of the things people do about it. Claim that there's no knowing anything for sure. Act like you're not after last words because we live in an anything goes world. So who knows what anything means? I described that as using a wild card to claim a trump card. Since anything goes, I can do whatever I want. If you challenge me, maybe you're wrong. You don't know for sure I can't do what I want. That's a no tag back trump card. I can do what I want, and if you get in my way, I'll caution you against being too sure of yourself. We see that in MAGA. The movement does its own research and posts it on Truth Social. But if you challenge anything they say, they go skeptical. They caution you to be skeptical of any action but their own. In MAGA, as in any cult, we also see the opposite. They use trump cards to claim wild cards. Like any cult, MAGA claims last word truths. They're Christian, they're patriots, they're for freedom, love, they're anti-woke. MAGA has its last word trump cards. They should be free to do whatever they want because they've got their unbeatable last possible last words. I'll call that romantic or fundamentalist hypocrisy. You land hard on some last word and you just keep doubling down. Take a popular one that all sorts of people, cultures, and cults claim as their last word. All you know, all you need to know is mean people suck. So don't be for hate, be for love. What could be more simple and absolute? Don't lighten up like those skeptical hypocrites. Double down on the lastest of all last words. Love, love. Love is the answer. All you need is love. It's circular, a self-reinforcing truth, which is great for giving you that feeling that you found a solid, safe place to get off the tower of squabble, because you've arrived at the top. In part 1 of this series, I identified the active ingredient in MAGA's or any cult's Kool-Aid as Lololu last words. Loaded, load-bearing, loose last words. Love is a loaded word. It has strong positive connotations. It's load-bearing. You can self-elevate by resting your whole identity on the word love. Who am I? I'm someone who is pro-love. And love is loosely defined, and love is a last word. You can combine loaded, load-bearing, loose last words into what I'll call a spinplex. I'm loving, but I'm also kind, generous, empathic, nice, and all that. I'm not mean, hateful, greedy, selfish, etc. These are generic terms. They can be used by anyone, but you can claim them as exclusive to your lifestyle brand. Christian, MAGA, or whatever, which becomes your master last word trump card. I'm a Christian, which means I'm loving, kind, generous, empathic, nice, etc. You can then ornament your lifestyle brand with props, heroes, and sacred texts. I get the last word because I wear a cross and a red hat, which proves I get the last word. I believe in love because Christ believed in love. My cross proves I'm Christian and therefore loving. It says so in the Bible, which was written by God. How do I know? It says it right there in the Bible, which after all was written by God. I'm MAGA because I have flags and crosses, which prove I'm a critical thinking patriot, which means I'm good. How do I know? Trump said so, and he should know. He's a critical thinking patriot in a red hat. This doubling down on Lololu last word trump cards isn't exclusive to any side of the great debates. One can do it on the left as communists did, or for nationalists like Nazis did. One can do it for religion, spirituality, atheism, any philosophy. I'm a progressive. How do I know? Because I'm loving, spiritual, kind, woke, compassionate, and mindful, which all mean the same thing. Don't ask me what those words mean. All I need to know is that I can rest my identity on those last words, which means I'm right and righteous. So really, whatever I do is a cut above. While one can get off on one of these circular, self-affirming lifestyle brands, it doesn't let the world off the hook. The fights between opposing romantic fundamentalist factions escalate into holy wars. Holy means last word, and holy war is an oxymoron. There's nothing purer than holiness, and there's nothing dirtier than war. Holy war means no deed too dirty for a saint like me. I can do anything I want, and whatever I do is right and righteous. So don't even try to get in my way. My trump card last word means I can do whatever I want. That's how we use trump cards to claim a wild card. So that's the second easy place to get off, claiming to have the one absolutely true, absolutely last word. And I'm calling that circular doubling down approach romantic or fundamentalist hypocrisy, though I have to clarify why. I've long sought a broad definition for the fuzzy word romance, and this is what I've got so far. Romance is the dream of happily ever after that lives in all of us and can't be realized by reality. Self-certifying positive Lololu last words feel like we've seen the light, solved the puzzle of reality, and are therefore fated to live happily ever after. It feels like we've boarded an express train to absolute last word freedom and safety. No more transfers, stops, or decisions to be made. Lay back and enjoy the ride now that you've seen the light and are safely en route. You can get that romantic express train feeling from falling in love, finding religion or spirituality, joining a cult like MAGA or Rajneesh, or just claiming that you've seen the last word light. You may have work to do still. You may not be perfect, but you know what perfect is. You've solved reality. You know exactly what to do. That's romance. But given that it rests on loose sand that's only pretend bedrock, it's also a house of wild cards. My loaded, load-bearing, loose last words free me to do whatever I want. No deed too dirty for a saint like me. For example, if anyone challenges you, call them unloving. You can do that since love is loosely defined. It just means whatever you want, and anyone who disagrees with you is unloving. And what do I mean by fundamentalists? Same problem. It's not really grounded in fundamentals. It just pretends to be. It's posturing as a fundamentalist that disguises your relativism. It's like there will never ever be a moral principle more fundamental and absolute than whatever excuse I find handy in the moment. There you go. Two popular places people get off the Tower of Squabble. Cynical and romantic hypocrisy. They're opposites. One says there are no last words, the other claims to have the lastest last word ever. And yet they converge as ways to feel perfectly safe and free. Cynical hypocrisy is using a wild card to claim a trump card. Romantic hypocrisy is using a trump card to claim a wild card. You're either safe because you're free or free because you're safe. Do what you want because it's all good or because you're permanently good, so anything goes. People often alternate between them. Be skeptical about other people's last words, since in reality there's no reality, and be fundamentalist and romantic about your last words. That's a very popular hybrid. Shame people for not being more skeptical while shaming them for not subscribing to your last word. Laugh at them for caring about morality and in the same breath scold them for not living up to your highest of all moral standards. I combine them too. I'm a devout romanticynic. I'm deeply romantic and deeply cynical, and yet, as I'll show in part 7, I think there's a different hybrid to be had. I call it romanticynical irony. It's getting off with everyone on the inescapable challenge of deciding where to get off. Because we're all stuck with that predicament. It's the human condition. I'll end here with what an astonishing romanticynical ironic moment we're in. The world is simultaneously going to hell and heaven, leading up to this election especially, but over the spans of our lifetimes too. We've never been a safer, freer, wiser, more ingenious humankind than we are right now. The rate of good news and breakthroughs is breathtaking. And we're also on the verge of a total shitstorm, at risk of being snuffed out by a brain fart. I'm trying here to put a finger on what those brain farts are, and I'm saying they take these two forms, cynical and romantic liberation into hypocrisy. We're a hair's breadth from the native wit it would take to pull back from the edge. It's like the last show in the last season of the best blockbuster ever, on the edge of our seats, wondering what to do, what commitments to make, what habits to cultivate, in other words, where we should get off. Please keep the comments coming. I'm sorry I'm not getting to them all. Know that I'm so grateful to have you to wonder with. I'd get to more comments if I weren't hustling to keep the vids coming. As always, I'm especially grateful to the dismissive commenters who share their last word authority on why I'm an idiot. They could be right. My mantra is I wouldn't put it past me. You can't address these topics without the risk that you'll have spent your whole life barking up the wrong tree, like so many before you. Still, some of the comments are so blatantly last word self-satisfied, I've got to say thanks. I can't illustrate all my points about the comforts of getting on one's high horse and dismissing everyone who challenges us as stupid, evil, and talking gibberish. I'm being ironic about my troll appreciation. I'm much more grateful to those who think about what I'm saying and pose challenging questions and criticisms, or who just say thank you for having someone to wonder with. In part 7, I'll be diving into the practicalities of romanticynical irony as a way of navigating life. Thank you for sticking with me if you are. Together, we're trying to figure out how to avoid getting snuffed out by brain farts, even our own. Well, it turns out few people in the world are into as much raw introspection about the human condition as I am. And if you're one of them, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And that's another thing. I'm for hire. I do strategic consulting on dealing with life's tough judgment calls and dealing with total jerks. My email's down below. Get in touch for a free sample session. Thanks.